Hello, everyone, and welcome to The No Show. I'll be your host, Nathan Orenstein, and today I'm going to be ranking the 10 Best Picture nominees from this year's Oscars. I personally think this is a really strong batch of nominees this year, certainly a better collection than last year, and I can't really argue too strongly against the inclusion of any of these films. I will say I did limit myself to about 200 words per film here, just because some of these movies I could go on and on about. But enough of the introduction, let's get into the ranking. At number 10, we have Frankenstein, also nominated for Best Supporting Actor, Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography, Production Design, Costume Design, Makeup and Hairstyling, Original Score, and Sound. This was an easy choice for my bottom spot. Don't get me wrong, I think Frankenstein is a good movie. Technically, it does almost everything right. The gorgeous gothic production design feels distinctly Del Toro and modernizes the visuals of such an old story. The score enhances the film's fantastical elements, and the heavy use of wide angles helps fully sell the world. However, the story itself didn't do enough for me. This is a very cleaned up version of the classic Frankenstein story, lacking the deeper moral ambiguity that usually makes it so compelling. Without that complexity, a lot of the intrigue is lost. Stretch that across a 2.5-hour runtime, and it became a movie I struggled to get through both times I watched it. It's hard to deny how impressive Frankenstein is from a craftsmanship perspective, but in the end, I just didn't find it all that entertaining. At number 9, we have F1, also nominated for Best Film Editing, Sound, and Visual Effects. It's the kind of out-of-left-field nominee we seem to get every year, and honestly, I don't hate its inclusion. If the lineup is going to have a crowd-pleaser, you could do a lot worse than this. The film follows Brad Pitt as a washed-up race car driver who joins an F1 team in hopes of saving them from collapse. The story and the characters are fine, but this definitely isn't reinventing the underdog sports movie. What it does offer, though, is a series of masterfully filmed F1 races, many packed with wild, if pretty unrealistic, stunts that help push the underdogs up the standings. It's directed by Joseph Kosinski of Top Gun Maverick fame, and the guy clearly knows how to make fast vehicles look thrilling on screen. Everything here has a sleek, hyper-polished style that fully comes to life thanks to lightning-fast editing and fantastic sound design during the races. The pacing also helps, rarely forcing you to sit through too much vanilla storytelling before the next adrenaline-filled race begins. In many ways, F1 shares the same strengths and weaknesses as Frankenstein. The difference is I'd choose to watch F1 every time. At number 8, we have Sentimental Value, also nominated for Best Director, Actress, Supporting Actress, twice, Original Screenplay, International Feature Film, and Film Editing. I'll admit, this one may have gotten the short end of the stick for me. I caught an early showing after a long week and was probably too tired for such a dense, layered film. Such is life. The story follows a renowned filmmaker who returns home to his now adult estranged daughters after years away. He wants to shoot a new film in their childhood home and hopes one of his daughters will star in it. From there, the movie explores the complicated relationships between its 4 central characters, all of whom earned acting nominations. It's a film about trauma and its connection to art, and art's connection to memory and the physical spaces tied to our past, and how the lines of reality can start to bleed if you blend your art and your trauma too closely. Joachim Trier continues to prove he has a profound understanding of human beings, and Sentimental Value may be his best work yet. I'm fairly confident it would have climbed higher in my rankings with a rewatch, but for now it lands at a respectable number 8. At number 7, we have Train Dreams, also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay, Cinematography, and Original Song. The film follows Robert Grenier, a railroad worker and later logger in the early 20th century. Over the course of his life, he starts a family, faces tragedy, and struggles to keep his footing as rapid progress in America begins to leave him behind. What makes Train Dreams so powerful is how intimate it feels. We're simply watching an ordinary man live his life, cope with loss, and try to find his place in a world that's constantly changing. The cinematography, easily my favorite of the year, is breathtaking, emphasizing the vast beauty of the world while highlighting the loneliness and grief of its protagonist. Despite its heavy themes, the film often feels like a warm blanket during its darkest moments. It acknowledges how difficult life can be, but treats that hardship as part of the beauty of existence. It's hard to talk about Train Dreams without sounding overly sentimental, but that's kind of the point. It's one of those rare films I'd actually recommend watching alone, as its quiet, personal story is something many people will likely relate to in their own way. At number 6, we have The Secret Agent, also nominated for Best Actor, Casting, and International Feature. Set in 1970s Brazil, it follows a former professor trying to escape persecution under the country's military dictatorship by seeking refuge with a group of local dissidents. This is the kind of intricately crafted political thriller we don't get very often anymore. It unfolds as a slow burn epic that fully immerses you in its portrayal of 1970s Brazil. If someone told me that this film was actually made in the 70s, I'd believe them, not just because of how authentically it captures the era, but also because of its filmmaking style and storytelling approach. Despite the slower pacing, it's a dense watch narratively, packed with different motives, tensions, and threads to follow. At the center of it all is a subdued but powerful performance from Wagner Moura, who keeps the story grounded even as the stakes grow. Honestly, I just loved watching his character exist in this world and with these other refugees to create a sense of resilience and togetherness in a world that is blatantly trying to tear them down. Somehow the best hangout movie of the year, while also being an incredible political thriller epic. How's that for balance? At number 5, we have Begonia, also nominated for Best Actress, Adapted Screenplay, and Original Score. It follows two conspiracy-obsessed men who kidnap the CEO of a pharmaceutical company because they're convinced she's an alien. To me, this is the most rewatchable film of the group. It's a pitch-black comedy that's dripping with tension, and it keeps you guessing from beginning to end. It's a simple enough premise and mostly takes place in one location, but the power struggle between Emma Stone's CEO character and Jesse Plemons' kidnapper character is enough to carry an entire film. We're spoiled with an absolutely stacked Best Actor category this year. Otherwise, Plemons would surely be nominated for his incredible work here as a violent, unpredictable, troubled incel who's committed his life to kidnapping a, quote, Andromedan alien. This is the kind of movie that's holding up a mirror to society, forcing us to look at how badly we've screwed up, but it does so in a way that's equal parts hilarious and depressing. Begonia is at its best when it's capturing both feelings in the same scene, and that's honestly most of the movie. For a film so brutally cynical about the human race, it really is an incredible time. At number 4, we have Marty Supreme, also nominated for Best Director, Actor, Original Screenplay, Casting, Cinematography, Production Design, Film Editing, and Costume Design. The film follows Marty Mauser, a young table tennis player in 1950s New York who's convinced he's the best in the world and goes to extreme lengths to afford a trip to Japan for a major tournament. The conversation starts with Timothée Chalamet, who delivers probably the best performance of the year as Marty. He plays a cocky yet oddly charming jerk who constantly weasels his way into absurd situations, and most of the film's tension comes from watching Marty scramble to escape the impossible scenarios he then finds himself in. Director Josh Safdie, now working without his brother, continues his signature gritty, anxiety-fueled style, but Marty Supreme feels like the film where he best balances that chaotic energy with something genuinely fun to watch. It's a big, messy movie packed with shady plot threads in the seedy underbelly of 1950s New York, and watching a character like Marty navigate this world makes for a wild ride that rarely slows down. At number 3, we have Hamnet, also nominated for Best Director, Actress, Adapted Screenplay, Casting, Costume Design, Production Design, and Original Score. This is the kind of movie that completely devastates you and then lingers long after the credits roll. The film focuses on Agnes, the wife of William Shakespeare, who raises their children while he's away writing and staging plays. When tragedy strikes the family, Agnes and Shakespeare process their grief in very different ways, slowly driving them apart. This isn't an easy watch, but director Chloe Zhao handles the story with incredible tenderness, capturing the raw emotions that follow such loss. Jessie Buckley is phenomenal as Agnes, shining in both the explosive moments of grief and the quieter scenes of internal struggle and fleeting happiness. Paul Mescal is also excellent as Shakespeare, portraying a more distant, restrained form of grief, and it's still surprising he missed out on a nomination. Zhao's direction really brings it all together. She never forces the emotion, allowing the story to unfold naturally. Hamnet could have easily become a manipulative, Oscar-bait tragedy, but instead it feels deeply honest. The result is a powerful, tender drama that ends with one of the most breathtakingly beautiful moments I've seen in a film in years. At number 2, we have Sinners, also nominated for Best Director, Actor, Supporting Actress, Original Screenplay, Casting, Cinematography, Film Editing, Costume Design, Makeup and Hairstyling, Original Score, Original Song, Production Design, Sound, and Visual Effects, shattering the record for most nominations for a single film. I think this is my fourth time talking about Sinners on this channel, so I don't really have anything new to add. Ryan Coogler's story of vampires attacking a juke joint in the Jim Crow South is still as weird on paper as it ever was, but it obviously works better than anyone could have expected. The energy and passion that Coogler is able to capture is nothing short of incredible, and the whole thing burns hotter and hotter with each passing minute. And on the surface, this is, simply put, one of the most impressively crafted genre films of the 21st century. But once you start digging in thematically and emotionally, that's when Sinners really soars. I genuinely felt myself getting choked up by the end of my second watch, as it's in those final moments where everything comes together so beautifully that it fully cements itself as one of the truly exceptional films of our time. And at number 1, we have One Battle After Another, also nominated for Best Director, Actor, Supporting Actor twice, Supporting Actress, Adapted Screenplay, Casting, Cinematography, Film Editing, Original Score, Production Design, and Sound. It seems like Paul Thomas Anderson has finally done enough to win his elusive Best Picture Oscar. The story of revolutionaries being hunted down by a white nationalist feels exceptionally of its time, and it will likely go down as one of the defining films of this generation. But it's also just entertaining as hell. This over 2.5 hour film is constantly moving, mostly operating as one massive chase sequence, and it never lets up. Sean Penn's Colonel Lockjaw is one of the best villains I've seen in a good while, and the threat of him showing up is constant, whether we're following DiCaprio's washed-up stoner character or his daughter that Lockjaw's trying to capture. But for as heavy as the situation is, the movie's also hilarious, adding a lot of fun and energy to a film already brimming with it. I've already seen it 3 times since it came out 6 months ago, and it only gets better with each watch. A true masterpiece and the likely winner of the top prize at this year's Oscars. I hope you enjoyed my ranking of this year's Best Picture nominees, and I'd love to see your own ranking down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I've been Nathan Orenstein with The No Show. Thanks for watching.